fight evil, read books, right? What else do you expect to hear from a librarian? Thank you so much for joining me today for our digital dive into books you can read on how to be anti-racist. I'm in no way an expert on this topic, but I am an expert in finding books that you need in the library. And so I'm not necessarily going to be recommending books because I think, like many of us, have a lot of learning to do and a lot of books on my to-be-read list, which is a hazard of my job. But I would say in the last month, there have been many more that have gone on my to-be-read list very soon. But if you're like me as well, you get impatient when you can't get a hold of the book you need. And right now, although very soon it's going to change, you are not able even to get books from the library. I, though, have been looking for books, and I tried to call our local bookstore. There are some books that are sold out across the country for very good reasons, because they're the books that talk about what's happening right now. They give a fantastic overview of the history of racism in America and talk about how to be anti-racist, how to support Black people in America, and, just get to understand how we got where we are right now and to learn. And I was impatient and I didn't want to wait. So I started to poke around in our digital resources and I found some things that were really delightful. So I wanted to share them with you today, if that is all right. I'm going to show you with my iPad, kind of, but I'm not going to be able to show you necessarily a lot of pictures of stuff. So I'm going to describe though. So the first place that you can look for books is on Libby, which is the Overdrive app. Some of you may still use Overdrive, but that's the Washington Anytime Library, which means that all of these books are shared copies with all of the libraries that we work with. So we buy these digital copies. So you have to wait for them if someone has a hold on them. And at the very front of the page, this book list, you probably can't see it from there, is called the Anti-Racist Reading List, because that's what's on the top of all of our minds right now. And so if you go in and want to read How to Be an Anti-Racist or Stamped from the Beginning, both by Ibram Kendi, or the YA version with the fabulous Jason Reynolds of Stamped, or So You Want to Talk About Race, those are probably the top selling books in the country right now. Let's see what happens. So I want to listen to Stamped from the Beginning. I'm going to click on it. I have an old iPad, sorry, it's a little slow. And it says it's the winner of the 2016 National Book Award for Nonfiction, which is not an easy thing to do. And it gives an overview of how racism is alive and well in America and how we got here, how it is not new, how we've gotten here, and how we can understand it. And it talks about multiple points of view and gives a really thorough, I'm just towards the beginning of the book and listening to it, but I'm not listening to it on Libby, because if I go here and I click on the little calendar and go, oh, I want to check this out, it says that there are 16 copies. That seems like a lot. It says there are 156 people waiting for that, which that sounds like it's going to take a little longer. And it says there are 10 people waiting per copy, so they estimate that it's going to take about 20 weeks. I don't want to wait 20 weeks. I have to be honest with you. So I've decided that I'm going to look someplace else. But it's still the library, because I've already called all the bookstores and they, just like the library, have to wait until the book is reprinted because it's sold out. But if you go to Hoopla, which is an incredible resource that we have thanks to our foundation, you'll see right at the top that Stamped from the Beginning here, because I was looking up African American voices. They have these wonderful book lists up in genres. And Stamped from the Beginning is right here. And you can click on it. And on mine, it says resume, because I can listen to it right now. And I'm already listening to it, which is why I'm telling you about it. But you can too, because with Hoopla, there are an unlimited amount of people who can read the book at the same time. So we could basically have an Anacortes book club and all be reading this book right now. But you may not want to read that one. You might want to read something else. So let's see what else we have here. We do have some YA books that I'm really excited about that I can tell you about. We have Binti, which is a fabulous sci-fi by one of my favorite authors, Nnedi Okorafor. It's a trilogy. The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. And Hidden Figures. If you didn't read that with us at Skagit, when we did Skagit Reads a couple years ago, we read Hidden Figures. And we got to talk to some astronauts, but we read about the African-American women who basically put us on the moon. So all of those, depending on if you want fiction or nonfiction or adult books or YA books, anything that you find in Hoopla up to 10 items right now, because we've extended that because we know that you can't come see us in the library, you can check out immediately. So I highly recommend figuring that out and getting on there. And if you're not sure how to, contact a librarian anytime between 11 and 4, Monday through Friday, and we would be so delighted to help you find the right book for you. But just a couple more recommendations. So You Want to Talk About Race is another book that there's a huge wait list for on Libby, and you can play it immediately and listen to it on Hoopla. So if you like audiobooks, there are 2 really great, highly recommended books that are available to you because of your library card right now. So if you're just feeling the need to learn like I am, you can do that right now. If you want to wait until there's a physical book, very soon you're going to be able to put a hold on it, and you can come get it at the library as soon as we have curbside started up, which will be soon. Stay in touch. And if you want to read some fiction, there are a lot of great ways to do that. You can check our book list, which we have on our Facebook page and on our website. There will be some recommendations down below this post of books that tell you books you can get in the library once it's open, books that are on Libby, and books that are on Hoopla. I'm focusing more on Hoopla because for this topic, all of the books on it, it's both incredible and frustrating because that means those books, those authors are selling many more and their voices are being heard, but it also means it's harder to find them. So any of these books that I'm going to talk about, there's going to be a wait at the library or on Libby. So that's why I'm focusing on Hoopla. But I do also want to say, I mentioned a few YA books, and of course I can't recommend The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. We did that actually last year for our Skagit Reads book, and we have a lot of copies in the library that I can't wait to make sure you get. But you can also read that one on Libby, I believe. But I highly recommend it. It's fantastic, and you can probably get that still at the bookstore because it's been out for a little while. Another one let's see, I think there's one more I should mention for you. For any of you who are sometimes interested in YA books, and I don't know, so there's a couple places you can go in Hoopla. You can look at the page I was showing you under genre, which is up in the right-hand corner. I was looking at just the genre conversations about race, but if you're wanting, you can also click on African American Voices, and those books are all written by African American authors, so you get that perspective, but some of it's fiction, some of it's not, and you can also sort it by YA or adult or even children's if you want, so that's really nice. And I want to look and see. So one of the books, the children's books that we read in a story time not too long ago, and I'm going to return it to the library since you can do that now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to go do it right after this, is Solway by Lupita Nyong'o, who's a famous actress. And she wrote this book that was based on her childhood experience. It's fictional, but it's a beautiful book about a young girl who has much darker skin than anyone in her family and anyone she knows, and she wants to change it. And of course she learns to appreciate it and how beautiful it is. It's a beautiful book, it's a beautiful story, it's wonderful to read with your kids and talk about this. There's another book that that's about racism for children, and you can actually have the author read it to you and watch a video, and Miss Leslie and I have put the link down below. So for any of you parents who are trying to figure out, how do I talk about racism with young children, it's never too early to start, and there are books for all ages. It's also never too late to start, so you can, whatever age you are, there is a book that you can read and learn more about our American history and what we can do to do better. And so I've talked about The Hate You Give. I wanted you to know about that. And then, let's see. The last book I want to mention, because you might have seen the author talking online recently, is I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. And I think you can check it out on Libby, which means you'll probably have to wait. But we do have it in the library. I know we ordered it. So you can put a hold on it as soon as you're able to do that. So these are books that I want you to just keep an eye out for and hopefully learn a little bit, talk to your friends. Like I said, we can all read this together and learn together. You can also do it on your own terms, your own pace. There's a book talking about whatever you need. That's of course what a librarian's going to say, right? Let us know how we can help you. stay tuned. We're going to have curbside soon. You can already start returning your books on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11 and 4. Librarians are also available to you any of those times as well on the phone. And as soon as it's safe, we're going to be getting you books, and we'll be making sure to get lots of copies of the books you want. So let us know what you want. Let us know if you're seeing what you need, and we will keep reading and learning together. And in the meantime, stay safe, read well,